discussion. It just literally just froze on me. Welcome back, those who managed to get back. Yeah. Um, yeah, you know what? I wanted to close off the session, but then I think that can we do a quick Q&A? Are you up for that?
Yeah, we can do a
See?
Q&A. We can definitely.
Okay. So yeah. Sorry, Gabby. I think the
Sorry,
government is
Gabby.
trying. I think that's just there's some conspiracy of some sort. So let's do it. I think let's do a quick Q&A because we've been talking quite a lot,
Cool.
especially based on
Definitely.
our experiences and stuff. So I want to hear if anybody has got a scenario or something that they want to ask us about. I think especially if they want to ask Zia about. Let's do that. Let's get into a quick Q&A. And yeah, so if you've just joined us, we've had a whole hour of discussing open relationship, the openness within monogamous relationship, polyamorous relationship, polygamous relationship. We've been, and welcome
And
to it
about
if
50
it's
minutes
your
of
first time.
venting.
Yeah, and 15 minutes of venting about how monogamy is monogamy. And it's a
Unrealistic.
beautiful concept.
Unrealistic.
And unrealistic. Yeah, I always say it's unrealistic. It's a beautiful concept. It's beautiful in theory, like communism.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving right along. This is why the government cuts us, because we say stuff like this. We
Because
see
we
that.
say things like that.
See,
Exactly. So
so we get
while we wait for a question, for the people that have come back, another thing worth thinking about, and this is how I worked it out. Humans put values to certain things, right? And the way we value things is based on the difficulty or the difficulty in acquiring that item. So, for instance, diamonds are more expensive than sand because sand is everywhere, and diamonds you have to drill deep down to find it. You know what I mean? And it's the sparkle. So a diamond will be more expensive and of more value than a grain of sand. Yet the two, for the most part, can do the exact same thing, right?
True.
How I've reasoned why people find monogamy so attractive and why people stick to monogamy is that monogamy, everyone knows how difficult it is to achieve it. How difficult it is. Everyone knows it within, whether we're willing to admit it or not. Everyone knows that monogamy is a difficult thing to achieve. So it becomes the most special thing, right? So we all want that special thing, right? The difference with love and relationships for me is that unlike where if you drill for that diamond and you try really hard and you get really close, but you don't get it, people will still will still applaud you for the attempt.
Yeah.
With relationships, no matter how hard you try, if you cheat, you're fucked.
And
you know what I mean? It's not, there is no, well done, you tried really hard.
Like, do you know you can't even redeem yourself?
No, you can't.
Forever be known as the cheat.
You cannot.
You know what?
You can't. And
I like.
And yet it's all the thing, we gave value to monogamy. We decide monogamy is of this amount of value. And yet we are not willing to say, like, dude, like, okay, you really tried hard, but stop cheating on me again. Or you whatever. And or some shit. I don't know, man. Like, but I could never understand why people do not give themselves a break. And it's, you see, me, I'm out of it. Mina ang seko da.
Aphrodite.
Mina ang seko da.
And you're fine.
So, bueno. But I still think people are putting themselves through huge headaches of like pressure to do something that they are gonna fail at guy one, and it's over.
And it's
nah.
No, but what do you say? Okay, then what do you then say to people? I've heard this discussion before.
Just
To say
repeat.
that people just
We are just here for the Q&A. Any questions that need to be answered, anybody that's got questions, this is the time.
yes, please, yes, yes. We would love to get your questions, yeah? And look, guys, we know like we just people that like to discuss stuff, right? So you are more than welcome to put in your comments as well,
Yeah.
even if it's not questions.
Just
We'd
like
also love
Gabby
your
saying
comments
how
as
we
well.
mental we are.
Like this.
Gabby, have you ever been? Gabby doesn't sound like she's been in relationships. It's like she runs away from relationships.
Yeah.
Like I can't even figure out is she in lesbian relationships or what? I can't figure it out. It's like she just doesn't have relationships.
Yeah, and I think, I was asking you this because I've been asked this before a
Okay.
number of times. To say, but guys, isn't this just an excuse for people to step out on their partners legally? Isn't this just an excuse? Shouldn't we be for the betterment of ourselves? Because the road that is the road that is for betterment is the road that is less traveled or hard traveled,
Yeah.
right? So um which is why monogamy is hard, because that's for the betterment of self. So to say to get into polyamory, isn't that just an excuse, a great way, a license, if you may, for us to step out for whoever,
Yeah. I think, Gabby says no, she means how is our mental health? I can answer that very
Oh,
quickly. I am the happiest I've ever been in my life. And I mean it. And I don't say things out of JNS,
mhm,
I'm surprised I'm this happy, actually. Anyway, but to answer that question, I remember my ex-wife asking me, am I not just accepting my failure as opposed to am I really a polyamorous person? Right?
mhm,
Which was the most difficult question I've ever, and I still can't answer it. And the reason I can't answer it is because it is it is difficult to know whether you are accepting something because you've failed so many times and haven't been able to
mhm,
do it, or are you accepting it because this is who you really are? And I think
mhm,
it is an unfair question to some extent because look, I mean, this same person was willing to accept me castrating myself in order to save our relationship. Do you know what I mean?
mhm.
When
Yeah.
you stop loving yourself more than the other person and how you make the other person feel, I think that's a red flag in anywhere, in
Yeah.
any part of the relationship. So when you start demeaning yourself, and a lot of people demean, and I mean, a lot of guys can play hard and play like cheating doesn't affect them. But
Mhm,
when you start hating yourself because of
mhm.
things that you are doing, I think that's the way you should draw the line and
Yeah.
save yourself. So whether I'm doing
True.
this to save myself or whatever the reason may be, I still agree with saving myself. I'm still sticking with the
Yeah.
answer to save myself over not saving myself because I shouldn't hate myself for what the things I have done. Do you get what I mean?
Mhm.
I think that
I get
if
you.
I hope that answers your question. Being
It
cheated
does. It
on
does.
affects your mental health immensely. So imagine knowing Usibo is sleeping at Smogile's house. That's Gabby. That's Gabby's
I
question,
love Gavin.
right?
But
I
I'll
think
I'll go
Afro
in.
Dexter kind of answered her though.
Yeah, yeah, I saw
I've
that.
got a
Thank you, Aphrodite.
question from Pasi M. So how does one
Yeah,
put
Pasi.
this on the table? how do you even start the conversation like, babe, I think I want a boyfriend? Ha! Good question. I like that one. You tell it from the girl point of view. Because it's a girl, you know? It's very different for guys to bring it up and for girls to bring it up. So I think you can take this one.
You know, girls, from a woman's perspective, it's very hard because, first of all, women always worry about not losing the way their men perceives them. I don't know if you get me. Like there's a certain pedestal, and I use pedestal like I'm choosing that word that a guy will put you in, and um, in most cases, if you're already in a relationship, that's what I mean. Because she said, how do you ask your how do you ask your boyfriend, your person that I want a boyfriend, you know? So it is always scary to think that, okay, this guy's gonna think that you're already stepping out on him because patriarchy, you know, in the sense that you're a woman, you're not supposed to want to be with any other, you're not supposed to cheat because if you cheat, the world won't forgive you. Even the world is that harsh. You understand? So as a woman, you must just be a homemaker. You must be happy with your husband. You must be a good wife. You must. So it makes it very difficult to have those kind of conversations because most women fear the judgment that comes with it from their partners before anybody else, you know? So for me, what I can say is that one, I think feel out the situation first, girl, by asking him what would he want, right? In a sense that what is he open to, so that you know where your boundaries are at. And then after that, that's when you'll then introduce it and say, listen, I've been thinking about this. How would this kind of situation then make you feel? And then that's when you'll get into the conversation. But if it's a new relationship, I urge everybody to speak about it before you even get serious. Like at the beginning of your relationship, put it out there to say, look, this is who I am, this is what I'm about, and this is the type of relationship that I want. And if you're not the person that's going to give in this relationship, it's going to be very difficult for us to have any sort of relationship, you know? And you start out and then you get okay,
I was going to say
you know?
something towards that, something similar, actually. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, so I was going to say, I think the first step is being honest with yourself,
Yeah.
even before you can be honest with the other person. And I think the way you pose the question, I think I might have been reading it wrong, but the way you pose the question already raises red flags. I want to meet a boyfriend, or I am interested in someone else. You know, how do we deal with that? You know, how do we, while I'm attracted to you, my lover, while I love you, while I'm all for our relationships, I find myself attracted to someone else. Um,
Yeah.
and we as a couple, how do we deal with that? Because I do not want to cheat on you. Do you know what I mean? And I do
Mm.
not. But you know, this is uh, the process of things like this will find people learning more about themselves more than anything else, and then you'll start learning. So it's more about knowing who you are and where you're coming from. If it's a boyfriend, I doubt it's um, something like for the polyamory discussion as much as yachala, you know. But if it's someone
Yeah.
specific, you know, but if it's
Mhm.
someone specific, then you know someone is actually getting at you and hitting a part that your partner might not be meeting. And the thing is, when you're in polyamorous relationships, and this kind of answers I know Ubusi asked, how do you deal with jealousy in poly, right?
Yeah.
And I will sort of answer both questions at the same time. Is that there's a lot of things. Jealousy is not the only thing, right? But the other thing is that poly people normally have meetings, secret meetings where they meet and they talk out these problems. So we kind of know the problems that come with relationships, you know? And
Mm-hmm.
jealousy is a ball of insecurities. if you do not want to face that jealousy is an insecurity, maybe you do not want to face what the poly and relationship already. The only time you
Yeah.
are jealous of somebody else is you are jealous of somebody else giving somebody something that you cannot give them. That's the only
Yeah.
time jealousy actually takes part. What we in general call jealousy is called selfishness. It's possessiveness.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Where you do not want
And
your partner
it's
to sleep with somebody else.
and it's also a sign of low self-esteem because you feel that you are inadequate or
Yeah,
you are not enough.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And self
Mm.
confidence comes in there, and there's a whole bunch of emotions. So, jealousy is not the only one. There's self confidence, there's financial security, there's da 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 da, because there's a number of things that people can just knock at you. You know, normally, if you're not threatened by a woman, you give absolutely no response, right? But as soon as that same woman can walk past with heels and your man checks her out, and she probably has a body you do not have, you're bound to have to deal with something within you that feels inadequate.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So, and
Hmm.
those are things that people should deal with, and you learn to deal with them when you are in poly relationships. And I'm going to look for the next question. The wisest man on earth had 300 wives and 700 concubines. Oh my goodness. Wow.
That's so, okay. While you do
I
that, I
was,
want to add to what you just.
yeah.
I want to add to what you just said. I think the concept of jealousy. I think I don't know if I was having this conversation with you, and you said once you speak about it, it loses its power because then you admit your insecurity. One of the most difficult conversations that I always try to have when I get into a relationship is to ask my partner what his biggest insecurity is. And it's not to play at it, it's so that I know how to deal with it when it happens because we all have insecurities, some minor, some major, Some people have got abandonment issues, some, we name them, daddy issues, blah, blah, blah. And it makes it easier for me to then know how to work around it when it raises its head. And for me, when jealousy stems from those feelings because that's when you see somebody else with your person, and I mean it doesn't even have to be somebody trying to get into a relationship with your person. It's the mere fact that we say he's your person, you want to now claim them and abewa how aliwan, you don't want to share them like that. But it's not, for me, I always say it's not my permission to give to begin with because that person is their own person. Do you get what I mean? So I think for me that's I'll always joke around about it and be like, Banzela wena Joe, just to put it out
Mm.
there. And I don't give it power. It's gone, you know? And it's gone and we move on with it because I acknowledge that it has nothing to do with them. It has a lot to do with me. Why is it that I feel like that person is taking my person away when it's not my person to begin with? Do you know what I mean? So anyway, just a sidebar.
Another question.
Mm-hmm.
On the feminine side, they can't do what will or be on an open relationship, poly, because at the end of the day, they call them by names, by Affair, Jezebel. What's your input on this one? Okay. Who? Um, yeah, guys and girls do it, both. You know, guys call, you, you can imagine the amount of guys that know me that call me a chump for allowing my person to be poly, Um, or the number of times I've had to deal with would she be with me if she wasn't allowed to be with other people kind of thing, and the inadequacy that's in me questioning that and those things so that happens from a guy's side, that happens, and then the girls are going to say the same thing from the girl side. But I'll tell you one thing: the guys that are sleeping with the village hoe, as we call her, the village hoe, right? I'm going to put that. Do not call
In
her a bitch. The
mm-hmm.
guys that are sleeping with the village hoe, do not call her a bitch. The guys that
Mm-hmm.
don't get to sleep with her, they're the ones that
Those are
call
the
her a bitch. Do you know what I mean?
yeah, I get
So
you.
it's like, dude, like you have to have a strong self understanding and self knowledge in order to even, and I mean, if anything, you could want to be poly just to get the strong self understanding of self. Do you know what I mean? And confidence in self and that sort of
Mm.
a thing. But you have to have a strong spine and a strong. You have to really know how many times I've had opportunities. Like I used to meet women that used to ask me, please lie to me. Please tell me I'm your only one. And they literally
Yeah.
say, no, I don't like you telling me you have other people. I want you
Mhm.
to lie to me and tell me you're the only one. I'm the only one. And I'm like, no, I won't do that because then I'll start lying to myself at the end of the day. I'll
Yeah.
start telling myself some other lie. Do you know what I mean? But um, so it's you have to have a strong spine to do it, and to be open about it and to be public about it. And yeah, put me in an awkward position putting me here today.
No, I think also another thing that is important to raise is that within any relationship, within any kind of relationship, the healthiest for me relationships are the most honest relationships. And as a sense that I'm getting in a lot of, um, even in the gist of this conversation, is how people are afraid of that honesty. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And when you say lie to me, it's as if like uh I often I ask a question to say that. So what would you do if your partner came back and said, "Look, I haven't cheated on you, okay? I haven't cheated. I haven't done anything, but there's this person. I'm attracted to this person, and I'm telling you this because I don't want to cheat on you, okay? I'm telling you this because I want to be with that person, and let's have this discussion. I'm not saying I'm going to be this with this person. I'm just saying let's put it on the table and talk about it. How would you then react? Do you get mad that your partner is being honest with you? Hmm? Do you get mad? Because that's honesty. That person says, I don't want to cheat on you. Let's talk about this.
Yeah.
What do you do then? And how far are you willing to have that conversation? And look, I'm not saying say to them, go and have that relationship or go have sex with that person. I'm just saying, are you willing to have that conversation? Nah. What are
Gabby
my people
says
saying?
Gabby
I can
says
do that
she'd
for
die
free.
if a man came to her and even asked. So, look, I mean, that's not a difficult one for me, right?
Mhm.
It's definitely not a difficult one for me to handle because um, I think whenever I meet someone that I want as a partner, first of all, I come out first time, tell them who I am, how I do things, this is what I am. If you want to be down, I like you, but this is how I roll. Um,
Mhm.
but as a result, I never look for a sexual partner. I look for a life companion, right?
Mm.
And I can say I'm fortunate enough to have found my life companion, you know,
Yeah.
and somebody that's gonna go through the journey of being fully honest with me and with them, and I mean it goes beyond sexual bounds. It goes to financial honesty. It goes
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
emotional honesty. It goes to
Mm.
showing the person your darkest, deepest holes when you feel like shit and when you feel happy and when you like. I think that's the thing that people miss when you are in this relationship. You get to grow so much because you finally have a person you can fart in front of, and
Yeah.
who gets to understand why you like wearing socks, different socks every day, and you have millions of socks in your cupboard, and whatever, it's not just about sex. Then you have this relationship with this partner, and you're like, will you come with me on this journey through life? You're going to change.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to change. I'm going to grow. You're going to grow. We might become very different people, but I'd like to do even those differences with you. And that, to me, is the commitment I'd rather prefer to make with somebody and call that my monogamy. Do you know what I mean? I'd rather do that because that is a realistic one. So that this person, the kind of relationship you want to have with your child, can then come to you and say, shit, there's this guy hitting on me at the office, and he keeps groping me, and I don't know how to deal with it. Do you know what I mean? Knowing that she can come to you and with her troubles, knowing that she can come to you because guys, women deal with harassment every day.
Every day.
From
every day.
All of us. Do you know what I mean? And I'm not going to even exclude myself out of it. Do you know what I mean? I'm saying all of us. How the hell I've seen a guy smack a girl he doesn't know on the butt. Like obviously if a guy was there, he would have had a aneurysm or something, and a fight would have broken out. But we allow ourselves to treat women that we don't know like shit, but we want our women to be treated better. Do you know what I mean? And what then happens is that the women hide those experiences from their partners and then go through that shit alone and go through that suffering alone. And if the moment you allow a person to go through those things alone, you can't possibly call him your partner. You can't call him the soulmate. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? When I can't tell you that I was raped in the toilet the other day by a coworker and know that you're not, and tell you that it's difficult to prosecute. No, but listen. Wait, let me make it more like I was raped in the bathroom the other day by a coworker, but I can't report him, and I don't want to report him, and I want to let it go. If the woman then says that to you, you have to be her refuge where she can go safely. Do you know what I mean? And if we keep on acting, you see, it goes just beyond polyamory and whatever. It goes to the honesty that we need to have in relationships in order to be each other's, literally each other's refuges, each other's partners, so that I can come to you and say, yo, this man beat me up, or this woman touched me in a way that made me uncomfortable. Do you know what I mean? And you, as my partner, will get that. And you can be my refuge. Do you know what I mean? We're not going to, if we keep on treating things like things are normal, then we're never going to have those experiences. We're never going to get to the real deal. So yes, if my girl comes to me and says, look, I've got this person and really interested in him, and I'm gonna ask her, how do you want it? Do you know what I mean? And what do you want to do? How do you want to go about this? Because she knows I want her safe more than anything else. I value her safety above everything else, and I would rather empower my girlfriend, my wife, my person to be able to handle any situation, whether I'm there or I'm not there, rather than be deceived by the idea that, oh no, nobody can touch my girl because it's my girl and she's married and she's got a ring. No, fuck that. Sorry. That's the answer to my question. I get embarrassed sometimes because I go into this thing.
I know, and I see, I'm like, okay, I'll let him be. No, you know what? I think we're wrapping things up because it's been a great discussion. This is the beginning of many, guys. Don't panic and say we want. Z will come back. I'll make him come back. I don't know under which topic, but he'll come back. And we'll talk some more. But thank you very much for being here with us. I think at the end of the day, what I like to say is that everything is a negotiation in a relationship. There's never instructions. I don't like instructions. So open it up, have negotiations, talk to your people, be honest, and open yourself up to having those conversations as uncomfortable as they are, because some of them are uncomfortable and they are necessary. So thank you very much, Z, for doing this with me. This is our first one, my love. This is our first one. Talking issues with Itu. Number one, you've just made history today with
Number
me,
one.
right? Yeah,
Yeah.
number uno. Okay, and there's gonna be many more. Thank you, guys. I love you guys.
Love
Gabby,
you.
Canelo, Momo, Afro Dexter, Q, everybody. If I didn't mention your name, you know I love you. I'm just mentioning everybody.